shoot-to-kill orders have never worked for very long. And generations of poor young men and women are now living and dying by the gun. Some of them live in Korogosho, one of Nairobi's most dangerous slums. One of them invites me into his home on condition that I don't reveal his identity. I start by asking him how many of his friends he has lost in gunfights against the police.
Ile nisha escape, naenda napatana na Namu, mtu anabaki. Hiyo mimi sema ni escape juu na kuna ule nimeenda nena nikakosa kurudi naye. So hiyo mimi sema ni lucky.
Ushapitia mara ngapi?
Mara mingi. Pangani.
Pangani? Hebu nieleza kuniendaje yani ile wasema.
Watu tu walipeana tujua kitoko walikuwa wameenda kazi lakini hawakuwa ni kama kazi, ilikuwa tu ni kushikanisha.
Na mwenye alikuwa na nini anaoshikanisha anajulikana.
Sasa hizi tumjuji mwenye alikuwa ndani ya moja alikuwa ndio marehemu pia.
He starts to talk about a confusing and often controversial claim about the police, that some of the shootouts that have ended in the deaths of his friends were orchestrated by the police themselves.
Katika hii biashara huwa mnakula pamoja na polisi?
Kuna ile saa zingine si kula pia nao. Kuna wale wanajua. Kuna wale pia hawajui. Unajua kitu ya kwanza, kumbuka sisi hatuna kiwanda ya bunduki, hatuna kiwanda ya risasi. Hapo ndio maana nakwambia lazima serikali anakuwa husika ndio wenye vitu. Kwa hivyo lazima upate zile risasi kutoka kwao.
So hizo risasi kunazo sasa hivi?
Niko nazo.
And just like that, he takes out a pistol he says was procured from the police. It appears to have a serial number registered to the police.
Lazima mpatie jua na kujua. Ndio piweze kuishi. Na kuna saa zingine mnakula sana, kiona amekula naye sana narudi, anakupeana ama anakupiga. Usijaribu kumpeana nani information kutoka kitu yote kuhusu nao.
It's a confusing night for me when a gangster is able to take the moral high ground above the police. He is exactly the kind of person that the police ought to be investigating and arresting. Yet he is able to exist as a criminal in part because of the police he claims to work with.
We still have, and this is very, very unfortunate, that we have even police rings involved in organized crime. And the evidence is there. How does a police vehicle used to ferry people who don't have immigration papers? Somebody must tell us some answers.
I'm rating the public very low, where public is 15% moral and police is 45%, meaning that our training and discipline has added 30%. So if public would only be 70% morally upright, we would be talking at 100% in the police. You know some of the factors that we face. I don't want to talk about them. You know them because it's fair for me to protect the image of the nation.
The actual training begins when you leave the police service. And the police, when confronted with the problem of terrorism or criminals, very often they will listen to their colleagues who are veterans. It's the stories that the veterans tell them that really hold more sway than the training. And if the stories that they hear from veterans is that you must shoot first, you must kill before you are killed, then you have a problem. We are producing potentially very good, effective police officers, but we put them in a context where it is not possible to do a professional police job.
There are police officers and members of other disciplined forces who dedicate their lives to the service of the public. but they are being overshadowed by the acts of officers who use the privilege of their uniforms to commit acts of impunity. On top of this, a police force that seemingly lacks the capacity to solve the crimes it does investigate haunts even the strongest calls for justice.
When we did the baseline survey by the Independent Policing Oversight Authority in 2013, we came out with one key thing about investigations, because the question was on investigations. Out of 10 files that police investigate, 6 do not meet the minimum evidentiary threshold to even go on trial. That's why the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions keep on returning files to the police for further investigation and tying evidence together. Once you do an evidence analysis of the police files, 6 do not have evidentiary threshold, minimum.
You'd be saying 60% of the crimes that are reported go unsolved
Yeah.
in this country.
Yeah, because that's why people, and that's where you say, for example, police sometimes are sloppy investigators. Sometimes they are very sharp, but most of the time they are sloppy.
The National Police Service has served our country patriotically since its inception. Kenyans want to know that the National Police Service is by law truly the premium insurance of national security, a seamless institution composed of disciplined and well-trained men and women who have remained prepared to answer to our nation's call.
I've always asked people very simple questions. The advocate defending a criminal is an advocate of High Court and an A student or a B student. The advocate, the arbitrator listening to the case is an A student. And who is the investigating officer?
A C- student.
These are radical statements which may not go down well to some people.